Hey everyone, Laura Catella from the copypoet.com here, and this video was requested by Mark from idealjoltmarketing.com, and I decided to separate it into 6 quick tips on compelling copy using punchy talk and interesting, not stiff, not boring. So the very first thing that I want to make clear to everybody is that all writing is in fact copywriting. If you're doing affiliate reviews, resumes, if you're debating in an email with your friends, anytime you're writing to prove a point, which is nearly all the time, you are in fact copywriting. So regardless of the scope of how much you write in your career, I hope that the information you're about to learn is useful to you and can help make copywriting a little bit more fun. So the first real tip is to write to your best friend. And this means saying things like you, because you're only speaking to one person, which is each and every individual reader who reads your stuff. You're speaking only to them and nobody else, and they are your friend. So you know what they like, you know what they don't like, you know what they want, just like you do with your friends. And you want to tell them that by saying things like you'll really love, or I know such and such stresses you out. This builds rapport, it makes your writing clear and compelling. Don't curse, but almost curse. Now, if you don't want to even almost curse, you certainly don't have to, but since this was on punchy talk, I figured I would include my sort of method for that. First things first, profanity can put people off and it's not necessary. You don't need to risk losing a customer just because you curse, because you will not gain that customer otherwise. So you can avoid it. But you can toe the line to show your passion and to be compelling and show that you are no nonsense. So a couple of almost curses that I tend to use are things like BS, crap, frickin', sucks, damn. Again, that's just to help build a conversational tone to establish rapport, but at the same time, you're not out and out being offensive and cursing. So tip number 4 is to cut, trim as much as you can, and avoid the passive voice. Shorter is punchier by definition. If you can get your point across in less words, it'll be all the more hard-hitting. So we want to make sure when we're going through our sales pieces or whatever pieces we have and we're looking to cut, that we get rid of garbage words that don't convey anything and don't further the point. You want to steer clear of the passive voice and the verb to be. Now here's an example of doing all of those things. This is an actual headline that I read in a sales letter, and I feel like I have to read it to you or else you just won't want to finish reading it on your own because it's really, really bad. Using this simple software, I can produce huge paychecks by ranking high up Google for some of the most competitive keywords in the world. Woof. Okay, so this headline is long for no good reason. There's a lot of extra junk in there that doesn't compel, doesn't convey value, doesn't raise interest, doesn't do any of that stuff. The word using in the very beginning is in the passive voice and it just sounds awkward. This headline talks about the product creator. It doesn't talk about me, the potential customer. There are no service statements, no curiosity is raised whatsoever. And it is full of the garbage words that I talked about a second ago. So here are some of them. Using this, don't need it, doesn't tell me anything. I can produce, doesn't tell me anything. For some of the most, that is definitely the most garbagey part. And in the don't need them, we can cut them. So how do I transform that headline into a good one? I'll show you. We cut all the garbage words. Here is our bad headline again. So we're going to cut all the garbage words. We're going to talk about our potential customer because they're most interested in themselves. Therefore, I am most interested in them too. I hope that makes sense. And we're going to remove risk and convey value. So watch. Here's the headline. Stupidly simple software will pocket you huge paychecks guaranteed. With the subhead, and imagine #1 Google rankings for the world's most competitive keywords too. So I have one simple question for you. Which of these two headlines, or rather headline and a headline and a subheadline, which interests you more? I guarantee that 99.9, maybe even 100, pretty bold on this one, percent of people would be more interested in the bottom, because I'm talking about you, I'm conveying value, I'm removing risk, and with that subheadline, I'm building interest, and I am creating an image for you that you can easily visualize, which is that #1 spot in Google with your website on it. So that is an example of taking a bad headline, cutting the garbage words, making it a service statement, and removing the passive voice, and boom, you have a headline that is literally about 5,000 times. Step number 5. If something you write pushes your own buttons, I encourage you to leave it in. And that means to go a little bit out of your comfort zone. And I had to, work on this for a while when I was first starting out too, writing things like, admit it, you're sick of the BS. That would make me feel a little, well, should I really write that? Should I be so stark? And after, time and practice, I've learned, yes, you should absolutely be that stark and leave that stuff in. Go for it. And the way to make sure that it isn't too harsh is by following the 6th and final step, which is do not sacrifice believability. Okay? Under no circumstances. Punchy and hyperbolic are not the same. Notice how every example of punchy language that I've given you thus far is still believable. You're not saying anything ridiculous or incredulous or anything like that. Avoid hyperbole at all costs. It's not believable. People don't buy it. Here's an example. If you return to find a higher price, you'll feel pretty crappy. Okay, little punchy and believable. That's probably true. If you wanted this product and you come back and you see it's double the price, you're not going to feel so good. Sure, fine. And here's an example of hyperbolic, bad punchy, if you will. If you return to find a higher price, you'll cry yourself to sleep at night. Not true. Nobody's going to do it. Don't write it. So I've included as a bonus for you a really cool tool that I use for each and everything I write, and it's awesome. It is from this site, which is going to be funny for me to pronounce, azteccera.com/tools/tobeverbs.php, and that is a to be verb analyzer. You copy your text in it, and it'll find all the times you use the passive voice in your writing, and then you'll see how easy it is to change and punch up your language once the software has spit out for you all of the times you're using the passive voice. And as you'll see down in the full article of this little lesson below, it actually caught a really good slip up I had in using the passive voice, which was when I said, you're really going to love. That going to is chunky and you don't need it. Instead, love should be the verb and not going to. So we can just cut going to and say, you'll really love blah, blah, blah. And it's that much more impactful and powerful that way. Anytime you can make the same point in fewer words, it's better. So that concludes this little video. I hope it's helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, feel free to leave me any questions, comments, and for all of your neato copywriting tips and tricks, you can go to thecopypoet.com. Thanks. Bye.